Everybody here, everybody online. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. My name is Travis Ford. I am the president and co-founder of Rock Harbor Marketing, a local digital marketing company based out of Morro Bay, but we have clients, gosh, all over the Central Coast, all over the country. And even as I was mentioning a few minutes ago to a couple of people here in the room, we have a couple of clients overseas as well. So we are expanding, and that's one of the cool things about digital media is, like traditional fun and play with people all over the world. So today we're going to chat about social media management. One of the things when I do present and chat and kind of go over these things, I really want it to be as interactive as possible. I hate just preaching it from the pulpit kind of conversations. So please feel free to interrupt, raise your hand, do all the things, and so we can kind of chat and ask questions, and as much of a workshop as it is a presentation, please, for sure, totally. And I also like to do slide animations because I don't know, I'm a nerd and these things are kind of fun. Let me get this thing off of the screen. Sorry, I don't know why I did that. There we go. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to talk about why social media is important for your business. Obviously, I think most of us know, but we'll just kind of go over some basics. Why does your business specifically need it? Some best practices for your business, evaluating the performance post-posting, and then, of course, questions throughout the entire process, please. Again, ask tons of questions. I like answering questions, and really want to get into the nitty-gritty of what your business-specific challenges are, or needs, or just ideas. So, first question, how many of you are actively on social media for your company now? Or are most people like, I need to do it, but I haven't yet?
How about you just barely do it?
Barely do it, okay. So you're on, so you own the space, but you're not fully, okay, that's cool, I get it. So the big thing about this entire kind of concept of social media is really why ignoring social media is really not an option anymore. It's not, it truly is not. I'm not saying that because it's my business. I'm saying it because, quite frankly, your customers and your clients are on social media. We'll go into a little bit more as we go along, but it's just not an option. It'd be like saying in the 90s, I'm just not going to do the yellow pages. I'm just not going to put my phone number in the phone book. I mean, it's the equivalent, if not worse. So not an option anymore. Right, so information sources 20 years ago, TV, radio, print. That's it, right? I mean, cable didn't even come around until what, the early 90s, late 80s-ish on the grand scale. So this was 20 years ago. Today, it's everything. It's NPR, it's TikTok, it's HBO, you name it. There's a bajillion that aren't even on here. These are just the top 20 or so that came to mind. So, before, when your budget was pretty easy on deciding where it was supposed to go, now it's just, what the heck do I do? Like, I don't even know where to start. It's just a lot, understandably. And as a society, we're addicted to social media. We spend as a whole, and this is June of last year, so this is maybe even be up a little bit more, but we spend 13 hours a day watching, reading, listening, or simply interacting with media of some sort. 13 hours a day. So you figure 8 hours a day at the job, you're pretty exhausted, you want to go home, have a nice meal. Well, this, add a few more hours onto that, and that's how much time you spend on some form of media. And we're addicted to our phones. Yes. Americans check their phone 96 times per day. And this was October of 2022. He's actually doing it right now. So me just saying it out loud made you go, I got to check my phone. So,
my phone.
You got 95 more to go. So, and this is a super strong statistic. It's all over the place. The attention span in digital media in 2000, so just 23 years ago, the average attention span of a human was 12 seconds. Now, and this came out in 2020, so it's a couple years old, it's probably even worse, 8 seconds is the average attention span of a human, and the average attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. So we're not trending very well. I often tell my clients, when you're producing your social media content, you want to write it and you want to think about it as if everybody you're talking to is just a little ADHD, right? Like they just have a little bit of a hard time focusing and they're really not going to read your paragraph about the really cool oranges that you're now serving. They're not going to read 3, 4, even 5 sentences. It's got to be succinct. It's got to be quick. And we'll talk a little bit more about how long it should be as we get going. Consumers spend time across platforms. So this is just a quick little 2021 to 2022, just the last year or so. I guess new numbers will be coming out soon, just to show that streaming, everything's pretty much broadcast cable, dipping a little bit. The streaming is continuing up. And I mean, I don't think anybody on either in this room or on this call is going to argue with the fact that more people are streaming more things on their phones more often. I mean, it's pretty obvious. But it's just fun to see it in an animation like that with the sparkles. Chuckle. Bottom line, your customers are there, your competitors are there. Are you there? That's the important question you got to ask yourself. But all that said, so digital media, yes, it's important. We've got to do all the things on digital, but you still need to focus on who your customer is, right? So you need to really ask yourself, are you the AARP crowd? And that's fine, and that's great, but your people are still on print. They're still reading the tangible newspaper every morning, right? They're probably on Facebook so they can see cute, pictures of maybe their grandsons or hang out with their friends, but they're not TikTokers. They're maybe not even on Instagram. So really think about who your audience is, because that's going to be the driving force behind all decisions. And I know that's kind of a yeah, duh moment or comment, but really, truly, you don't have to be on social media as intensely as we talk about in this presentation if your target market's 60 and over, right? You just don't. There's other things you can look at. So TV and print still have a huge place in the market. Radio, not so much. I'm sure if the radio person is in here, they'd give me all the great numbers about their reach and all that consumption. But I personally think radio, it's just too fragmented to really focus on any one thing with Apple Music and Spotify and all the fun things. Is that me wigging out? All right. So which social media is better for you? This is the big question. So here's the 21 top social media sites to consider for your business. I'm kidding. I'm totally joking. Yeah. Thanks. Here's 6. Right. So here's the top 6. And these, and when I say 6, I don't mean you have to do all 6, but here's the main 6. And you're probably, as I talk about them, you're probably going to think of 1 or 2 of them that are going to be your ideal place to go. So top 6, just really quick across the top: Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Okay, these are the main 6. There's a bajillion more. There's Snapchats and WeChats, and I can't even name them all. There's so many, and they're great. They're super niche, but these are really the main 6. So breaking it down for you as simply as I possibly can. Pinterest is primarily for women or people that identify as women. Pinterest is heavily geared and oriented in that sector. If your company focuses on style, food, beauty, parenting advice, home, even travel is pretty good on Pinterest, then Pinterest is great for you. Specifically, and it's not, again, if you did all 6 of these a little bit, that'd be great, but we're really gonna go down the rabbit hole of each one. Twitter, back in, I used to say, they just recently, but it's been since 2016 now. Twitter officially named themselves a news source, not a social media platform, back in 2016. So they quickly realized they are less about social media and more about the rapid fire of the social world. I like to think of them as like the little CNN news scroll that goes across the bottom, or Fox News scroll, no, whichever your preference is. The little news scroll that goes across the bottom. It's in, it's gone, and it moves on. Facebook, Instagram, all these other platforms, oftentimes people will jump on there and they'll scroll for a while, and then they'll start seeing, oh, I already saw that post, and they'll jump off. Twitter, it's so rapid fire that you just go on there, you consume whatever you need to consume, and you get off. I don't use Twitter that often personally. I just follow a bunch of comedians. So when I have a little bit of downtime, I just kind of, it's good for a chuckle. A couple of news sources I follow just to have that really, really kind of like off the cusp, quick and fast information. So but that's, Twitter on the social media scale, I'd say if you're a news outlet, if you're a politician, if you're some sort of like a news heavy or an information heavy organization or company, Twitter would be okay for you. Otherwise, yes, we'll talk about maybe why, but not necessarily important. Facebook, still the largest social media platform in the world. 59% of anybody and everybody on social media is on Facebook. Of course, there's some age stuff there, like my kids, 18 and 20, not on Facebook. They've never had a Facebook account. They could care less about Facebook, right? So again, demographic is going to be important there. But if you were just going for, okay, I want one platform and it's going to hit the most people, Facebook is the way to go still. And you'll see constantly little plugs and articles saying Facebook's dead, nobody's on Facebook. I mean, year over year, you look at the numbers and it's still growing. So, which is absurd, but it's still growing. So it's not dying. It might be slowing down a tad, but it's not dying. There's still only so many people in the world. 2.9 billion monthly active users. So there's a lot of people that have Facebook accounts. They maybe just pop on there and look at stuff. They don't post. They don't really do anything. These are the 2.9 billion people that actually do and engage. Instagram, again, one of the biggest, if you just chose to, for a couple of reasons, but if you just chose two platforms to put your efforts on, I'd say Facebook and Instagram would 100% be the ones to do. Instagram is fantastic if you have any kind of a brand or organization that deals with the visual. Could be sandwiches, could be iPhone cases, anything that you can physically see are perfect for Instagram because you could feature your product in real space forever and ever. But it is all about the pictures and the videos. The #1 most followed brand on all of Instagram is National Geographic. If you don't follow them, you should. They're fantastic. They have a lot of great visuals. So people, that is what they want. They want that really cool content. TikTok, definitely the fastest growing, 1 billion monthly active users. For a company, I hesitate when clients say that they want to get involved in TikTok only because the demographic needs to fit right. And really, it's not, people think TikTok is 13 to 20. It really is 30s and 40s. I mean, it's the age group, the age gap, I totally blanked on the word. It varies quite a bit, but it's not, I'd say it's almost even more rapid fire than Twitter because it's just super content heavy. And you can't just throw a picture on TikTok and move on. It's real content that you truly have to create. So if you wanted to go down that road, there's a good audience there, but you really want to make sure you do it right. You can't half-ass TikTok. And then LinkedIn is, for lack of a more advanced way of saying it, it's the business Facebook, right? So it's extremely corporate and brand heavy. It's all about us as a brand doing a thing, us as a company doing a thing. If you do have a company that maybe has a few employees, this is fantastic. You could talk about your company culture. You could highlight certain employees. It's one of the largest job platforms in the world. LinkedIn and Indeed right now are really the top two. So if you have a business that does a lot of hiring or a lot of recruiting or anything in those spaces, I mean, LinkedIn is obviously a no-brainer for you. It's also nice on the marketing and on the advertising side. LinkedIn, when you advertise through that channel, you can target specific roles. So you could say, I only want to target HR people, or I only want to target event planners. So people who've gone on there and said that that's their job title, they'll see your ads. So it's a really nice piece on the advertising side too. Yeah.
Why is LinkedIn so heavily outside of US?
It's a great question. I don't know.
You said 77% outside of US.
Yeah.
I thought that was intriguing.
Yeah. That's a really good question. I don't, to look that up and find out. I'm not sure.
Right.
I do know, interestingly, I was doing some research on like how long ago social media channels sort of came about. And I discovered that LinkedIn is the oldest, like even before MySpace, LinkedIn was around, which is interesting because it just kind of really popped up in the last.
And I never really thought of it as social media per se, because it was just like monster.com.
Yes. Yeah. It was.
And it did different format.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I don't know how to go back. I wanted to show you my really cool fire animation. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, wait now. 77. Oh, users are outside of the US. Yeah. I'll look into that. That's pretty fascinating, actually. I didn't even think about that. All right, here we go. Facebook is still the most used platform. Yeah. So this is as of November of last year. So super recent numbers. Facebook is 2.93 billion. So definitely the biggest. YouTube is a super close second. So if you do have if your business is heavy in producing any kind of media, video content, YouTube is great. If you do a lot of reels or like TikTok style, like short videos, YouTube has it's stories. I think it's stories. They have their own platform now that just kicks up these very short reel and TikTok style videos that are tall frame. They're not the traditional, 16:9 style movie. So YouTube is fantastic, but definitely video, 100% video. If you're not doing videos of any kind, don't even look at it. WhatsApp, 2 billion. WhatsApp is primarily over in European and Asian countries. If you have friends that live overseas, you guys probably communicate through WhatsApp just because it's free, which is fantastic. And a lot of the other countries, like the Asian countries that have more lockdowns on censorship and whatnot, WhatsApp has the ability to communicate back and forth pretty openly and freely. And then Instagram. So really, YouTube, WhatsApp, they're very niche. So Facebook, Instagram, 1.39 billion. I mean, it's billions. It's crazy. It's an absurd amount of people. So it's not very sparkly. There you go. So the key to social media, if you barely do it now, or you don't do it at all, it really, truly is start slow. Do not say, I'm doing it next week. I'm going to do 5 posts a week. We're going to do all the things. I'm going to take all the pictures. You will burn yourself out. You'll get tired. You'll run out of content. Your creativity will fizzle. Just give yourself like an honest, simple 1 post a week, 2 posts a week, maybe 2 channels, and just start slow. Start building up the creativity, just like anything else, just like a workout routine, just like anything else that you do, any kind of a change in your life. But just truly don't go all in, because I see it time and time again. And it's better to be consistent and do 1 or 2 things a week than it is to go all out. And then a year from now, people look at your Facebook page and go, are they still open? Because they haven't posted in 6 months, right? You don't want to do that to yourself or your company. So choose your top 2 channels or 1. Just start small. So we'll dig in just a little bit more to those we'll say top 5 with specifics on each one. I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but we'll go a little bit more detail. So Facebook, my thumb just is, there it is. Okay, fun. Facebook, if you choose just 1 and your audience is broad, age, sex, the whole 9 across all the spectrums, Facebook's your 1. After 15 years, they are still one of the most used platforms in the US, with 2.93 billion active monthly users. We already talked about that. The key to not just Facebook, but really all social media is engaging. The most important part of Facebook is your opportunity to have a real conversation with your customers. And I see it all the time, especially with busy businesses. They'll schedule their content to go out a couple times throughout the week, and they move on. And they'll talk about, the lunch special on Wednesday, or this on that. And what they don't realize is people that do see it might even ask a question like, oh, that's great. Your happy hour. Cool. What time does it end? Or do you have last week I was in there and you had, Belching Beaver Porter on tap. Do you still have it? That they'll ask a question. Worst thing you can do is not answer it. It's the whole, it's social media, right? Get social, get engaged with them. Because not only are you are you actively engaging with a potential customer or an existing customer who loves your brand and wants to, continue the conversation with you? But you're creating a long-term relationship with somebody online, which is fabulous. I mean, it's hard to do with your customer base. So if you can do it, jump on that. Roughly two-thirds of Facebook users visit the site daily. Over half visit several times a day. So I'm not saying you guys have to do that. Maybe just jump on in the afternoon. The great thing about having social media on your phones, if you're sitting in the waiting room at the doctor's office, or you just got done driving and you're sitting in the parking lot, you just jump on your phone really fast, take a quick look, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and you're done. Respond to a couple of questions. And then more than this number it's grown every year. When I look at this number, more than 80% of users on Facebook. So 2.9 billion active monthly users. 80% of them look at their phone within 15 minutes of waking up in the morning, right? So I'm guilty. Alarm goes off. My wife and I chat, usually grab our phones. I mean, of course, we have a digital marketing company, so it's a little different, but look at our phones. Okay, let's just check in. Let's see what's going on. Make sure the world didn't burn down overnight while you're sleeping or anything crazy. But yeah, it's 15 minutes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course. Ask.
There you go.
Is there a day of the week time that's best to post?
So yeah. So actually, that is a slight later, but the honest answer is it's entirely up to your business. It really, truly is. If you're a coffee shop, earlier in the week, early in the morning is going to be your jam. If you're a lunch place, 10 o'clock or so, you really want to be hitting the social media channels, because that's when people start thinking about lunch and their stomach starts growling and, they're looking at stuff online. So if you look on like the national stage, yes, they're going to say, oh, Wednesdays are fantastic and Saturdays, right? But you really have to think more about the psychology of your customer specific.
That makes
right?
Because I thought I had heard someplace it was like Fridays at 6 o'clock or something, but that's right, because most people are looking what to do for the weekend, but that's not your business. And if they're looking in the first 15 minutes, then it would be the morning.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And yeah, if you're a lunch spot, definitely have something that goes out at 6 in the morning, and then have something that starts hitting the feeds around maybe 10. It could be the same post.
Right.
Can recreate the wheel every time. But yeah, and fall back to for those of us a little older, and we read the papers and every day, and we did those things. Kind of fall back to that, like the newspaper on Thursdays was their entertainment section, right? And that's where they talked about all the new movies coming out. That's right. So if you are in the entertainment field, think about that. Like, people start getting into weekend mode on Thursday. So let's start talking about weekend things, right? If you're a mountaineer and people are going to go out and hike this weekend, maybe Thursdays we'll start talking about some stuff and get people excited about weekend warring.
That's why New Times would always come out on Thursdays.
Yeah, exactly. It's this heavy entertainment.
Yeah.
So today people just go, oh, cool, Thursday. But when they started, it's like, duh, Thursday.
That was my go-to place.
Yeah.
On the shows and everything like that.
Yeah. It still is. Absolutely. So yeah, so it really does depend on who you are. Instagram, let's dig a little bit more into that. If you choose just one platform and your target market is under 40 and under, it's Instagram. Really, if you had to think about Instagram versus Facebook, Facebook's probably more the 40 and over. Instagram's probably more the 40 and under. Both are fine. Both are great. And actually, it's been a couple of years, they're owned by the same company. It's absolutely, it's so easy to post on both, right? And I'll kind of go into that a little bit too. But yeah, if you choose just one and it's under 40, go with Instagram. 1.4 billion active users, 63% of them are 18 to 34. So definitely a younger audience, super visual. Again, fantastic for product-based businesses, coaches, destinations. Visit Morro Bay, where I'm from, they blow it up on Instagram, and they do a great job. They have tons of visuals. You see The Rock once a week, right? There's all the fun things. But their Instagram just continues to grow rapidly every year over year, because they do a good job. 43% of users have more than a college education and earn more than $75,000 a year. So Instagram, they are super active, they love visuals, and they have money. So there you I mean, as a business, those are pretty key indicators.
I'm sorry, I have one question.
Of course.
So I don't know if you're gonna go back on some of these or not. Because I know when you post for Facebook, you can hit,
Yes.
Twitter. And so if the demo is exactly the same, you can probably use the same content, but
Absolutely.
I was curious about if the demo, if you have to plan your content based on the difference of the target user.
Yes.
So you can't really cheat.
If you're not super active and you have limited content going out, just post,
Got it.
right? Just put it on Facebook, have the same thing go on Instagram, maybe even have the same thing go on Twitter. I do not recommend, if you are posting on Instagram, there's a little option to click share to Twitter.
Right.
I don't recommend that, because what it does is it shares like the sentence and then a link to your Instagram. So it doesn't share the picture that you put on there.
Right.
Yeah, so it just shares the link. So people on Twitter don't love that, right?
Facebook doesn't like seeing link in bio.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So anytime you see on Facebook, there's a link in bio, they just shared it right on over, right? So if you're just going to do the simple things, share the exact same content across that channel, totally cool. If you're going to dig into it a little bit more, totally adapt it. Like if you're sharing something on Facebook and you also want to share that same content on LinkedIn, you want to tweak it just a little bit more, because it's Facebook, Instagram, more casual, more fun. LinkedIn's a little bit more like I got my collar on, right? So you want it to be a little bit more professional. If you're going to take the time to kind of do that. Like hashtags is a really good example. Facebook they don't care about hashtags anymore. Even Twitter said hashtags are kind of old. Instagram loves hashtags.
I still don't get hashtags. I literally, I don't get it.
So here's the best analogy that I could think of with hashtags. Let's say it's like, let's say you have a filing cabinet, right? And then you have a manila folder, and on that manila folder, I'm going to write hashtag SBDC. Right. And I just put hashtag SBDC on my post. I'm going to put that in the filing cabinet. Now, every other post in the world that puts hashtag SBDC on their post goes into that folder. And then anybody can pull up that folder and look at all the posts that have that hashtag, right? So that's kind of like if you.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It's been described in different ways.
It's tangible, right? Because I think it's tangible. Yeah. So the Avengers movie, Avengers Endgame, right? That was great. And you put that hashtag on there, and then people just click on that, and you can follow hashtags on Instagram. So if I follow the hashtag Morro I see all the cool pictures and images and videos of my little town that I had no clue who these people are, but I can see the hashtag. Right. So that's that's kind of the best way.
Well, I think when you post, there's some hashtag etiquette.
Yeah. Yes.
Especially with realtors, and they feel like they've got every single town in the county.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Yeah. I think it's somewhere along the last year or so I read it's like no more than 15. And I mean, see, these people go crazy. They go crazy. Really, it's when I do hashtags, I pick two that are my go-to. Like everyone has these two, like in Instagram only.
I like that.
Yeah. So like we work with the Sports Federation, World Obstacle. So they're the Federation of International Sports Obstacles, FISO. So that like FIFA, but they go by FISO. So my two hashtags are FISO and World Obstacle. And then below that, I put 4, 5, 6 hashtags that have to do specifically with that post. So it's American Ninja Warrior, it's, whatever. And they're not just random. I don't use them all the time. They're specific to that post, but those two are always there. That way, if somebody does click on that World Obstacle hashtag, they see all the posts I did, plus, whoever else is doing it as well.
That's great.
Yeah. So, but again, only Instagram. Facebook could care less. If you're doing the basics and you're sharing it across, totally fine. Nobody's gonna write you an angry letter because you use hashtag on Facebook. Just know that if you're only doing Facebook, don't spend your time figuring out hashtags because Facebook doesn't care.
No.
Right. Twitter, 3.53 million users, again, rebranded as a news app instead of a social media app back in 2016. The best performing tweets are 50 to 100 characters, not words. So if you have the ability to talk about your product in 50 characters or less, fantastic, do it. You cannot wax poetic on Twitter. You got to keep it short. Twitter is heavily engagement based, definitely not a post to forget. A lot of people retweet, share a comment. So you want to be a little bit more connected to Twitter if you do use that platform. It's my least favorite personally, just because it takes a lot more effort, but search engines love Twitter.
Why?
It's been around for a long time. I think because it's short and it's quick and a lot of people are on it. I think because when they switched to a news outlet, more people started going to Twitter for their news. And it's smart. I mean, if you follow, NBC, every 5-10 minutes, they're kicking out some story. So they're super content heavy. LinkedIn, talk a little bit about that. 2 words, again, professional. Facebook, fantastic. If you're a business to business, a B2B company, absolutely mandatory you're on LinkedIn above and beyond anything else. Ideal platform to increase your professional online presence. 22% increase in engagement. Businesses have the opportunity to network with an increasing number of interesting contacts. So it's definitely, it's not just, the thing I like about LinkedIn is it's not just business to potential customer or business to potential employees, it's business to business as well. So it gives the opportunity for a lot of companies to have public and, nice conversations about what they're doing and how they work together. It's really big for businesses kind of touting partnerships with other businesses. So if you're a cafe, talk about, we love Brian's Bread. Brian's Bread delivers every week and they're fantastic and fresh ingredients and all that good stuff. And then also, like I said before, great for targeting decision makers if you're advertising. Google, not a social media anymore. So I want to make that clear. But if you're in this room or you're listening to this, it is an absolute must that you claim your business on Google. It's a must. And the reason why I say that is it gives you the total ability to edit, add, change, tweak, whatever, all the information about your business on Google. It's kind of like having Yelp as far as like having the proper information out there. I know like in Morro Bay, a lot of the local businesses have summer and winter hours. A lot of the restaurants close a little earlier. Sometimes they'll skip a day in the week in the off season. And most of them forget about Google. So, we have tourists year round. And if somebody comes knocking on your door on a Tuesday and you're not open, but they Googled you and just said you were open, I guarantee they're going to write a bad review about you. And they're not going to be happy. And then you just lost a customer and all the people that they maybe even know.
Is that Google My Business what it is?
Yes. Yeah. So Google My Business used to be the name of the platform. They just recently, like months, changed it to where it's just, you can either Google, like right here, I just Googled Rock Harbor Marketing, and this is what I see. I put the arrow to the little check mark so you can see like I claimed this profile right here. Mm-hmm. But all of this over there up at the top, it shows you I can edit my profile, I can read reviews, I can send messages, I can add folders, I can see the performance, which means I can see how many people have Googled me, searched me, clicked on the thing to call me, edit products, services, all that fun stuff. So, it really does give you the ability to dictate what appears on the screen on the largest search platform in the world. So you always want to make sure that this is updated. Always, always, always. And again, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but it gives you the opportunity to read reviews in real time. As people, you'll get a notification once you sign up saying, hey, so-and-so just left a review. You always want to reply to a review. Always. I don't care if it's positive, say thank you. If it's negative, you always have to remember you're never just responding to that person. You're responding to that person and then all the other people afterwards who will see that review and read that review and they're going to be curious about what your business thought about it. So, and you know, own your mistakes. If you've had 3 months of really crappy service and you know it, and the management was terrible and you fired them and people are complaining, be honest, tell them, be transparent, because if I read this thing, if I see, oh my gosh, the last 8 reviews were 1 star and they're all about this manager, and I see the company go, you know, we apologize, and you know, that person's no longer here, we made some management changes, whatever, we're making some changes, then I'm going to go, okay, they're making an effort, I'll give them another shot, opposed to, yeah, there's no way in hell I'm going there. Right? Plus, very fancy. Search engines love social channels. If you were really going to dig into social media, and the reason why I said I don't love Twitter, but I do Twitter, I don't love this, but I do that, it's because search engines love social media because they are so active, they rank so high in the search bar. So if I did this last night, I Googled myself, Rock Harbor Marketing. I did it on it's called an incognito window, so that all my cookies were gone, because obviously if you Google your business, you're going to see your business like crazy because you're always on your business's website and all that stuff. So this is what I see. Number 1 is my website, then Facebook, then the Morbid Chamber, because they're great and they have a lot of traffic to their site. So they're going to be on there. But LinkedIn, Instagram, and Yelp. So social media. And this is, for a business, this is one of the main reasons why I say you should be on as many social media platforms as you can, if you can, because you want to flood the search engines with the positive content you are putting out. You are in charge of what people see, right? You're running the conversation about your company because you're putting the content out there for them to find. Otherwise, who knows what's going to be on there? I mean, my company's great, but you know, you never know what's going to be on. So how often should you post? I know this is the second question I always get on top of, you know, what time. Facebook, 1 time a day, if you're going to go all in, right? But again, if it's just once a week, that's fine. 1 time a day, no more than 2 times a day. Like that's any more than that. And they've actually found that the engagement decreases if you do more than 2 times a day. By the way, do you guys know what I keep saying the word engagement? Do you know what that means in the social media landscape? Like, are you familiar with kind of that term? I'll just tell you what it is. So engagement, it's there's posting and impressions, all this stuff. Engagement is actual people engaging with your post. So it's commenting, it's maybe liking, it's sharing. It's actually engaging with your content. There's impressions is great. It tells you how many times your post has been seen, but the real metric that you should care about is engagement. It could be seen by 10,000 people, but if 4 people actually engaged with your content, probably not the best content, right? Because you want more people. You want to post fewer times, but have more engaging stuff. Makes sense. That's Facebook. Instagram, 2 to 3 times a week is great. That's great. No more than 1 time a day. And I will say on both Facebook and Instagram, if you do post multiple times a day, which is common with, again, news outlets and people that maybe you're having a sale and you're like busting out a bunch of stuff over the period of a day, you really want to have 2 to 3-ish hours of separation in between the two. Because what happens is if you post too close together, Facebook, they're not going to show all your content to all your fans. I mean, really, you're only going to reach, if you have 1,000 followers, you might get maybe 100 people to see your post. It's low. It's really low. It's like between 7 and 10%, depending on how engaging your content is. And the more people engage with your content, the more Facebook goes, oh, okay, yeah, they're putting out good stuff. We'll go ahead and up that number. But if you're putting out content all the time and nobody likes, shares, nobody really pays attention to it, they're just going to show it to fewer and fewer people, because they're a channel all about having the people hang out on their phone for longer and longer. Right? So they're going to show you less of the boring stuff. Anyway, so if you post too often, too close together, Facebook's going to say, okay, they put out 2 posts in the last hour. Let's decide which one we're going to show and which one we're going to hold back a little bit, right? And if you just want to kind of have fun with it and test it out, post a couple times, like within a short period of time together, and then the next day go back and look at your engagement. One might be, 1,000. The next one might be like 20. I mean, it really is that dramatic. They will hold one way back. So that's why you don't want to post too closely together. And Twitter is super active 2 to 3 times a day, no more than 5 times a day, unless of course you're some major national news outlet. The nice thing about Twitter is you can totally reshare content. So if you post something on Monday, post the same thing on Thursday, as long as it has that longevity. If it's not like, hey, today, come in. You can even post multiple times a day. If you post something at 8 in the morning and you want to share that same thing at 4 in the afternoon, you can totally do that too. That's why really, truly, Twitter is this constantly moving thing that you can keep throwing the same content up there if you chose to. And then LinkedIn, 1 time a day, no more than 5 times a day. I think once a day is more than enough. You really have need to have a lot to talk about if we're going to do more than that. But if you're a business to business company, then yeah, why not? If you are a movie studio, of course you want to talk about all the fun things that are happening. But it is consistency. I clicked too quickly. LinkedIn, it's definitely all about consistency. So if you're going to post twice a week, make sure you're constantly posting twice a week. Their algorithm is very strong around consistency. What time should you post? Again, 100% depends on your business. There's no secret sauce. There's no tricks. There's tons of national metrics and things that people are going to tell you online. Every company is different. There's a platform that I pay for that shows me like peak times in the day. I know that there is a way to find it on your Google listing where it'll show you like, every day of the week, which is your busiest day of the week, and then time of the day, which is your busiest time of the day. The social media platforms don't really give that information up very freely, so I apologize for that. But really, it's your customer better than anybody does. So who are your customers? When are they engaging? If you're a coffee shop, do you really want to post it 9 o'clock at night? That's kind of silly. Like nobody's thinking about coffee at 9 o'clock. Well, I mean, unless you work the graveyard shift, then of course, yeah. But you know what I mean. Lunch rush, 10 a.m. Business services, 8 to 3. If you're a B2B company, don't talk about your product Saturday afternoon. Nobody's going to care. Like they'll put a pin in it and maybe come back later. So just really think about your customer. That's when you want to post. Questions before we continue? One of those no dumb question moments. Yeah, of course.
When you post, sometimes it gives you a choice. It says,
yes.
Is this for your friends? Is this for everyone?
Yeah.
Is this for people you don't know? Is this for other people? Is this for, they give you a choice. So
so you're talking about posting to your personal profile.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So personal profile, that's all privacy. So that just, when it says personal or friends or global or whatever, that's just who you want to see that post. So if you want everybody to see it, you want that to be global all the time. You want the little Earth icon all the time. So for me, I just post for my friends and my family that live out of the area. So I always make sure it's the little friends one because I don't really always want my stuff public, right? Not that I post anything bad, but so that's what that means. But I will show you a little bit later. There is a kind of a fun tool that Facebook has launched that does help a little bit with time of day. So I'll show you that here in a few minutes.
One question again, maybe later on about paying for boosting.
Yes. So I don't really talk about advertising. So yeah, of course, let's chat about it. So advertising on social media, boosting is if you have a very small budget, boosting is great. So boosting, what boosting allows you to do is basically you're running an ad on that post and you can choose an audience. So you could say, I want everybody in San Luis Obispo to see this post more. Or you could say, I want to boost this to people who follow my page. I personally recommend that option because again, Facebook and Instagram only show your content to less than 10% of your audience. So these are people who liked your page. They've gone to your business page and liked it saying, I want to see what this person's doing more often. but only about 10% of those people are going to see it. So if you boost, you're just allowing more of those people who already love your brand to see your content.
I didn't realize that they only.
It's low.
I just assumed that everyone that is that the same as followers?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you follow the business, that doesn't mean you'll see the post.
Yeah. So if you follow or you like my page, you will truly only about 10% or less of the people who follow my page will organically see my content. So now if it's trending, if like all of a sudden, and there are some metrics, like there's tricks that you can kind of play with if you want your post to be more engaged. Instagram, they've recently changed it because obviously like people figure it out and then they have to change it so nobody can game the system. But until recently, it was if your post was engaged with heavily within the first 10 minutes, they would immediately show it to more people. Like their little robot would go, okay, cool, this is great content. Let's make sure more people see it. So what people would do is like I would go to all my friends and I comment. And then I post because when they comment, they jump online. I commented, and all of a sudden there's my post for them to see again, and then they'll like it, right? So people would game it and do all these things. They're constantly changing the algorithm. So don't think you can game the system. You might for a minute.
They're always gaming you.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You got one on chat first.
Oh.
Yeah. So Stacy asked, should I post during my hours or when my clients are likely to be looking?
Oh, great question. I mean, really, you're wanting to get in front of your clients when they're most likely to engage. If you want to put out content that you can have a conversation with them for, then totally post when you're there so that you can quickly respond. But I think in the perfect marketing scenario, you want to be in front of them when they are paying attention to social media. So yeah. Yeah, I think I answered it. And back to boosting, you could spend as little as $1 a day.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Like, because I've heard $25 is fine. And I just, in my world, $25 is nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for like a small business, you could spend $1 a day. So let's say I want to, because you can boost your page so that it gets more traffic. You can boost specific content. You can do, there's various things that you could promote on the social channels, but you don't have to spend a lot. I've got a real estate agent in Utah that I work with who they have something that they're doing that specifically talk to other real estate agents, and they spend $1 a day, and they're just specifically targeting real estate agents, and they do great. And it's just a little bit more traffic.
So from a metric standpoint, if I don't have visibility to what Facebook has decided in terms of only 10% or 7% or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there a way to see the metric of what that $1 did?
Absolutely. Yeah. So when you run an ad, it'll show you like across the bottom of your post, it'll show you engagement, right? And it'll color code it. So your little bar will be part of it will be gray, and that's your organic reach. And then the part of it will be like an orangish color, and that's your ad buy reach. So it'll show you like how your ad, like which of the people who are talking to this post saw it naturally and how many of them saw it because of your ad. And we hope that they're being honest. I'm sure they are.
Then you can run tests to say, is it a or is it 10?
Yeah.
What's the?
Yeah. I mean, the nice part about being a smaller business, obviously company probably had no idea, but the smaller companies, we have the luxury of knowing I did a thing and my phone rang.
Right.
Or I got an email, or I had 10% more people walking in my shop this week than I did last week, right? So we have the benefit of seeing the granular side of it. So play with it, like kind of test it around a little bit and see what's going on. When you boost posts, you can also do certain times a day. So if you say I'm going to boost this post for the next 30 days at $1 a day, I only want it to show up from 6:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Right, so you can totally target that. Just start clicking on things when you go into the boost, and little windows will open up, and you can see your options. I do want to warn you though, when you are boosting, I think it's your page. When you try to boost your page over just the post, you got to watch the little dollar amount, because one of them says this is the amount you spend per day.
Got it.
And not like there's a lifetime budget or a daily budget. And one of them, I think it's when you boost your page, defaults to daily budget. So if you're like, oh, I'll spend $30 this month, right? And you just spend $30 a day, right? So you gotta just be careful.
Question,
Yeah.
if not pet peeve, except a lot of people are violating, not knowing the difference between profile and page.
Yeah.
And in terms of service, you're supposed to do business on profile.
Yeah.
Okay, and that could come back negatively on the business person because they're like,
Absolutely.
do it on your business.
Yeah. This is really common with personalities. Real estate agents do this a lot. It's so really the difference is a page is a business page, right? And that's where you can like it, you can follow it, that type of content. That profile is a person. So you have to become a friend to see each other's content. It'll say right on their ad as friend. And the pitfall there is they do monitor it. And I've personally seen it happen a couple of times in my little sphere of the world. So I know it's happening often, but people will grow. They'll get a pretty large group of followers and Facebook will shut them off. They'll say, nope, you're a business, that you're not a person. Because when you're a person, your friends see almost all your content, right? Because that's what Facebook wants. They're like, okay, they get along. As a business, they're definitely, they want you to pay for that. So, but they are definitely they crack down and they kind of go in cycles. So it has been a little while since they really cracked down. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. So and that's why they're free.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I imagine they'll, so be very, very careful. If you are a brand, if you are, and I've even seen newscasters that talk a lot about what they're doing on the newscasting side. I've seen them get shut down and you can get capped out too. It used to be 6,000, it might be 10. But as far as the number of followers you can have, and then you max out. Facebook's like, no, you need to be a page now,
Right?
Because you're too light. Okay, so how? Grab your notepad. You guys all have notepads. This is the good stuff. And this is from a website called Thumbs Not Guns. They Photoshop out all the guns. You got it. We're doing good. Okay, so the basics to posting really good content. I mean, a lot of this is kind of like, yeah, no duh content, but who's your consumer? You as a business know your consumer better than probably anybody else. So who are they? What do they do? Are you a business and you're talking to other businesses? Are you a real estate agent? You're looking for people who are buying a house or selling a house, like, your customer. So get into their head a little bit and talk to them and show them content that they want to see, right? Again, it's kind of a duh thing, but it's got to be said. Short posts are better. Again, the ADHD mentality. You want to keep all your posts, no matter what the platform is, like Facebook and Instagram, you can go on and on forever. You want to keep it to about 250 characters or less, possibly. Below 250, it shows us 60% more engagement. So be short and quick. If you can quote unquote say it in a picture or a video, do that. I mean, that's what people really want to engage with. Question posts get 100% more comments. That's kind of stupid. I don't know why I put that in there. But ask questions, truly. If you're thinking about adding a new item to your menu, put it out on social media. Be like, hey, this is something we've been kicking around. What do you guys think? And if you get some great engagement, put it on the menu. If everybody's like, nah, that will taste like crap. All right, make it for yourself at night and leave it off the menu, right? It's just not everything, the beer conversation we were having earlier. Like, so
counter to what I would think, because I would think you're inviting potential negative comment. Sure. And then what was, like you said, here's a new menu item, what do you think? And then what people see is no.
Totally.
But
maybe.
Interesting.
And your brand ambassadors are going to back you up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
In the threat.
They will. Yeah. The people who love you are going to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're like, hey, we got this new sandwich and it's got 16 types of pickles.
Right.
Okay. I mean, maybe you might have a pickle lover or two out there that are stoked. Everybody else is just gonna be like, oh my God, really?
It's almost like the answer is going to be positive. So you just make sure that you got it.
Right.
Question. So on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
How about a post that's posing questions to a survey? I noticed recently.
Yeah, they love surveys. Yeah, absolutely. You want to think about surveys. The only downside to surveys that I've seen is when people put them out there and it's like a week old and there's like 2 people that did it. Right, that's when I look at, but that's just me. When I look at a survey, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, people really don't care about that. So, but no, surveys are fantastic. And it's a great way as a company to get some honest feedback from people who engage with you and follow your company. Survey and Facebook, gosh, you know what? I don't think they do that anymore. They were doing that for a while too. Yeah, I mean, any opportunity to like stoke the engagement fire with your customers is a great idea. Otherwise, you're just hoping they comment, as opposed to like giving them a nudge, kind of poking them a little bit. So I used to talk a lot about when I would talk about social media. I used to talk about pictures and videos, better engagement, and this and that. Honestly, they're kind of mandatory now. You really don't want to put out a post without some sort of content attached. And on LinkedIn, it could be a website because, that'll pull in the Facebook, the picture. Facebook too, it'll pull in the picture. But you really want to have some form of visual content on your social posts. It's not terrible to every once in a while do something that's maybe just a couple lines or a line of text if you wanted to do that. And the question option is really good, or surveys are really good, but you really, really do want to have some form of visual content attached to it, even if it's just your logo, right? you want something for them when they're just doing the scroll to go, oh, hey, what's that? Right? You want to jump out a little bit.
But a link is okay as well.
Totally. Yeah. So link is great. Obviously not on Instagram. I'm glad you said that because I wanted to say this. You cannot put a clickable link on Instagram. Cannot. So if you have to put a website link on Instagram for your business, I recommend there's a company called Bitly, and it's bit.ly. And what it does, it allows you to shorten URLs to whatever you want. Right. So like the SBDC, the link for this thing was really long. Obviously, we're not going to just pop that into an Instagram because you can't click it. You can't copy and paste it either. So if I see something and it's got 16 letters and numbers at the end of that URL, how am I going to take that and then type it into a web browser since I can't click on it? No way. But if you like Bitly is great because you can take that long link, throw it in there, and it'll shorten it. And it could be like 3 or 4 things, and you can even change it. So you can do like RHM workshop. And then I'm like, okay, I can type in that. That's easy. So
and that's the link you put in the bio, or
yeah, you can. Yeah.
You got one spot for a link.
Yeah,
that's in the bio.
So no, so I'm talking about in the post itself.
But you can put it in the post.
Yeah, so no links in any Instagram post are clickable.
Right.
So that's why a lot of times you'll see somebody say, like you'll see it say link in bio. So if you go to their main bio, their main page, that you get one place to put a URL. Most companies, that's obviously going to be their website. For active companies who are constantly doing maybe like an upcoming workshop or something, you can change that link to whatever you're talking about that week. You just got to remember, you got to either change it again next week, or you got to default it back to your main homepage. But yeah, you cannot, everybody listening, to have a clickable link in an Instagram post. You can also, if you do put a little link, if it's easy, like let's say it's just your website, rockharbormarketing.com. Okay, I can put that in a post, because even though they're not going to be able to click on it, that's kind of easy to remember. But you can absolutely take the little HTTPS:// like I'll just take that off every time, because it's annoying and it just kind of clutters your brain. But it's pointless. And you can do the same on LinkedIn. You can do the same on Facebook. If you want a really clean looking website link, put the link on there, it'll grab it, and then you can remove all the gibberish on the front end. Because you really want it to be clean, right? You want it to really pop on the page, not just be this blue underline gibberish.
Travis, real quick,
Yeah.
Did you say, so if I get a Bitly, I can mask over it with my own words?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So for like for Rock Harbor Marketing, all of our Bitlys, and you can even get your own domain name. So ours are all rhm.pub, P-U-B,
okay, and
then / whatever we want to write in there. So it's, like if I wanted to say drop this one in there, it'd say /workshop or 2023 or whatever. So you can add whatever you want on there. You can pay for it. Bitly's free. You can have a free Bitly, and it'll just shorten it. Or you can customize it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's really handy. I like it a lot. All right, and then, if you get stuck, if you 3-4 months into it, you're gonna go, okay, I've been talking about the same thing, the same 6 sandwiches for the last 6 months. I'm running out of content or ideas. I don't know what to do. Yeah, Google companies like yours, maybe in other cities, see what they're doing, or search them online. Just kind of see what some of your competitors are doing, not locally. You don't want to steal your neighbor's stuff, but you see what they're doing in Boston or Florida, and just have some ideas. But there was before I got into digital media, I worked in TV for about 10 years, and there was always this saying, like when you're getting absolutely just bonkers bored and annoyed with your ad that's running on television, that's about the time people start noticing it, right? so just because you're talking about that same sandwich or the same 5 sandwiches for 6 months, your customer base, they're probably still checking it out, or they're like, oh man, I haven't had that sandwich in like a week and I love that sandwich. I want to go get it again, even though you talked about it for months. So just don't think that you're just running them into the ground. But watch your engagement, because if your engagement starts dropping dramatically, okay, maybe mix up the conversation a little bit.
We did have one question in the chat. Stacy asked if you Google a business in another city and it takes you to their website. From there, should she just see if they have their social handles?
Definitely. Yeah. So usually I just, if I'm trying to find another company's social media, I'll go to their website, just immediately drop to the very bottom. And there's usually a little section where you can find their social media accounts. Good question, Stacey. All right, that's it. Not kidding. There's a lot more. Okay, not a lot more. What do I got? Like 25 minutes? All right, so again, just some more kind of dust stuff. Identify your goals and objectives. Make sure you know what you're going after before you even start posting. If you're wanting to, and I keep saying sandwiches because Brad used to own a sandwich shop. So, but if you're very specifically wanting to sell sandwiches at lunchtime, then talk about that, right? If you want to start selling spaghetti, but you're a sandwich shop, talk about the spaghetti, right? We were working with a pizza company that they have an 1.5 to 2 hour wait every night of the week practically. So they did not want us talking about pizza after 1 o'clock or talking about coming in that evening. We only talked about lunch, or we only talked about weekend football stuff, right? So know what you're talking about for your business specifically, put a plan together, and then create your post off of that. Let them know you're human. It's super common for companies to just talk about the ethereal, the thing, the product. Remind people that your CPAs do this really bad. Doctors do this really bad, where they'll talk about the product, talk about the service. But like, there's a person that answers the phone, right? There's somebody who helps you with their scheduling. Excuse me. There's nurses. There's whatever. Highlight the humans and give them the opportunity to connect with your company on a personal level. So before they even walk in the door, they're going to see that receptionist and know who she is, and that's it's turning that cold into kind of a warm. So really good, especially business to business. If you're a business with multiple employees, highlight your employees, talk about anniversaries. You don't really have to go into birthdays unless you want. That depends on the type of company you are, but highlight the humans who are doing the work behind the scenes.
Social content is different than your blog content.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Social can highlight your blog.
Totally. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So if you're a blogger, and that's kind of that's a good SEO conversation. We don't really go into that a ton, but SEO, search engine optimization. How do you game that system? We'll talk about that really quick. There really isn't a trick. Like there used to be all kinds of tricks about getting more traffic to your website. Really, what Google and Bing and all these companies do is they look at your website, and their robots look at your website and they see, do you have relevant content? Is it updated? And how active is your site? Like how many people are constantly going to your site, right? A really good way to keep that active is a blog. And it could be about anything really. But if you're constantly adding content to your website, Google goes, they're engaging with their website. They didn't just build it 6 years ago and nobody's touched it since. It's not just an online brochure, it's an actual active thing. So it'll kind of kick you up the search results a little bit more. And then if people are actually visiting those blog posts, they'll go, oh, okay, well, then they're even more important. So we'll put them even higher in the search ranking. And everybody can talk about their business, really. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be once a month. It could be once a week. I mean, it could be, here's a picture of our new menu we're thinking about putting out. It could be, here's a new service that we're doing at our CPA office. And then whatever you blog, you put it on your LinkedIn, you put it on your Facebook, you do not put it on your Instagram because you cannot put links on Instagram. But it gives you great content for your social channels too. So it helps all the digital pieces kind of talk to each other and sync up.
Steve,
Yeah.
I had another question too.
Yeah.
Just back to point 2 there, she said, regarding being human, is there any truth to the idea that photos/videos of yourself or your face have better engagement?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So we work with a hotel property in Moab, Utah, and every single time we feature a staff member or a guest at the hotel, it's 3, 4, 5 times more popular than anything else. I mean, we can give away a room and it'll get less engagement than when we show a human being. So it's always better. If you have a dog, whoo, man, or cat, yeah. You had a question?
Well, I get a lot of emails from SEO people saying, you want to redo your website, or we want to help you get more traffic, and some of them are pretty organized. Like one from India, they were very professional.
Sure.
They wanted $300 a month for several months.
Yeah. So
I told them I could pay $100 a month. They didn't like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
So a lot of those organizations they're not gonna do a great job, right? They're just trying to get your domain. You get the letter in the mail every once in a while. It's like, hey, it's time to renew your domain. Like, but I got my domain over here at GoDaddy. This is domainregistry.net or whatever. I don't know who they are, but they're doing those things because they're just trying to get your content. Because once they have your website, how are you gonna get it back? I mean, that's your lifeblood as a company, right? Is your website. And I've seen a lot of companies like we got to start over because they did that and then they couldn't get a hold of somebody and then they couldn't renew their website or whatever. So you want to keep that stuff close. There are companies that can help with SEO. I've seen it happen. There's even some locally, and they do a really good job. They are not cheap. So I mean, you're gonna spend minimum probably about $1,000 a month. So it's really got to be beneficial to your company. But I don't do it because it's a specialty. They do really fantastic things for your company if that's a really big part of what you do for a living is your website and that traffic specifically. So there is great benefit there, but you're going to have to spend a little bit of money for the real thing to happen. Yeah, I don't want to poo-poo all over the India guys. I'm sure they do a great job, but I've personally never spoken with a company that went that route that had a lot of success. Most of the companies that we build websites for usually come from a situation like that, and they're like, crap, I can't get into my website, or it's totally bonkers, or they rewrote everything and doesn't make sense about what I do. So just be weary. My 2 cents. Okay, engage with everyone. I know we've said this a few times, but engage. Do not ever let anybody ever say anything to your company online and just let it go. Because again, you're not just saying it for that person. You're saying it for all the other people that might see that comment and see that like, oh, they asked a question 3 days ago and nobody's responded. You want to see, and prompt is great. Again, turn on notifications on your phone. Oh, hey, quick answer and you're good. But just make sure you try to respond as best you can, as quickly as you can. There's an important statistic I've seen lately come out more and more that, social media really is the customer service platform of our time, right? So it used to be a phone, an email, a desk somebody walked into. People truly see social media as the customer service platform for complaints, for questions, for advice, really for anything. So you really want to make sure you're paying attention at least a little bit. Optimize your social media accounts. So you want to use your important keywords like you would for your website, like, you know, talking about SEO. You want to build those into your social media posts, right? So if you are a pizza place in Morro Bay, you want to use the word pizza, fresh ingredients, homemade sauce, Morro Bay. You want to use these words in your posts as well. Ideally all of them, but you know, if it's hard to fit it in the conversation, most of them are great. But you want to, you know, think about that. Like, what would somebody search on Google to find my business? Build those words into what you talk about. Because, you know, like I showed you before, those terms fall into the search, the standard Google search platforms. So if you talk about your stuff, you know, layman's terms, searchable terms, it'll help you be found a lot easier. Consistently post a comfortable rate. I know we talk about this a lot, but I would just want to keep saying it, like, don't overdo it. Go at a comfortable pace for you. After you've done it for a month or a few months, if you feel like I could do more, then do more. That's great. Just don't come gangbusters and then pull way back.
We had a quick question in the chat. Lane asked, we are a startup company still in the fundraising phase. I created an Instagram profile, but I do not follow anyone and I've not posted yet. Is there a trick to getting started with those first few posts when we are not yet a fully formed company?
Gosh, yeah, just go. Just do it. I start following maybe some businesses that you guys personally engage with. Like if there's, you know, if you're right next to the Libertine downtown SLO and you go there all the time, follow them. Like start engaging with other companies in the area, start engaging with peers, friends. Don't be bashful, like, you know, shoot an email out to everybody, you know, be like, hey, we're on Instagram, go check us out and give us a follow. You'll get some, right? No, just start. Don't overthink it too much. Just get going, right? And then you can perfect it as you go. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I know most people do these days. If you go back and listen to the first couple of episodes of podcasts, they're usually pretty terrible. Yeah. And they'll even tell you that. I think like Tim Ferriss, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, he'll talk about his first podcasts were terrible. He used to drink wine and he's like, this first couple of podcasts, I'd be hammered by the end of the thing. It was a terrible idea, right? So just start. And if it's not great, you can perfect it and get better. And heck, you can even go back and delete them later if you want to, if you're embarrassed of it. But just get going. Good question, Mike. Again, tackle customer complaints efficiently. You know, if you, I can't see what I said there. Oh, there we go. If you end up with a complaint from someone on your website, tackle it quickly, efficiently respond in a professional manner, even if they aren't. I know that's not easy. Especially on Yelp. We don't really talk about Yelp on here because it's not really a social media platform, but it's important. Make sure you take good care of them, answer the questions, offer solid customer service. Again, you're not just replying to them. You're replying because it's public. You're replying to everybody else that might see, oh, why'd they get 1 star that one day? Click on it and they'll see, oh, that person's crazy, right? I mean, and there's plenty of those. And we all can kind of read through those pretty quickly, but they still want to see that you replied and you responded, even if it's just you know, hey man, thanks for coming in. We just couldn't meet your standards. Here's a couple other places that we might recommend, right?
I've that,
Yeah.
or gone into that debate with a lot of people in the sense that they would rather have the negative lingering
Yes.
than address. I'm like, you have to be the last word. Like you can be completely, you know, friendly. Like you don't have to engage in the bad behavior.
Oh, totally.
But you have to be the last word. You know, you have to respond. Yeah. Not responding is kind of acknowledging maybe the truth behind it.
Well, and a cautionary tale on Yelp specifically, when you reply, it does give you the option of replying privately or publicly. If you do reply privately, don't go down the rabbit hole of engaging, because I've seen people screenshot and put
Yeah.
that in, like, they just said this, right? So don't go tit for tat. Like you can, you sometimes do want to private respond, because you may say things like, we understand there was some staffing issues, or we want to offer you to come back in. We'll buy you a pizza. You don't want that public, because then everybody's going to start complaining about it so they get a free pizza. And again, I don't recommend giving away free things to people who complain, because there are people that do that just so they can do things. But yes, but reply, even the bad stuff, as hard as it is, take a walk around the block, count to 10 and then reply. It's not always easy, I know. Whoosh. Does your brain feel a bit like this right now when thinking about social media? Yes, every morning. Taco Cat spelled backwards is still Taco Cat.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Just kind of, yeah. On average, 3 out of 10 people would rather reach out to a business on social media. 3 out of 10, 30% of the people. And this is a year old when I found the statistic, so it's probably even higher. 30% would rather reach out to your business on social media than call on the phone. So are you dedicating 30% of your business's marketing, service resources, any of those things to social media? Dealing with complaints, that number jumps to more than 50%. And when I say would rather, I'm saying they do, right? They will complain to you on social. They will complain to you on Yelp. They will put Pillable platforms. If you're not paying attention to it, if you haven't claimed your Google, if you haven't claimed your Yelp, those conversations are happening and you don't even know it. You have a Yelp page. If you're a business that's been open for any significant amount of time, you're on Yelp. Yelp scrapes the internet for business information. You're there. If you haven't claimed your page, you're just not paying attention to what the heck's happening. You don't know what conversations are being had about you. And do they have the right phone number? Do they have the right hours? Who knows where they grab this information from? So you gotta have that stuff handy, and you gotta be paying attention. It's mandatory as a business. Remember, this is your opportunity to control the space. You're controlling the conversation about your service, about your company. People are talking about you. This gives each and every one of you the chance to control the conversation and the narrative about what it is you're doing, who you're working with, all of those good things. Okay, I only got like 10 minutes, right? So I'll go through this really, really fast. So I'm going to really quickly go through the anatomy of a Facebook post. So really quickly, this is very basic, but how do you make a post as a page? So go to your page, you just click right there on the little bubble, open that up. You're going to see a little icon down here that says, do you want to do this over in Meta Business Suite? If you haven't set up Business Suite, I strongly recommend it. So when Facebook bought Instagram, there was that confusion of like, okay, am I on Facebook? Am I on Instagram? Everything. So they created Meta. So Meta is the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. Meta Business Suite, if you don't know how to get there or how to find it, you just type in business.facebook.com and it'll guide you through how to set up your company if it's not already there. Chances are it's already there and you just got to claim it and get it set up. But if you click on that, Meta Business Suite, it opens up. This is Meta Business Suite. And up in the top right corner is a little button that says Create. And if you click that, you can create a post. And this is where the magic happens. So it looks a lot different than the standard, I'm going to create a post on Facebook, because this gives you a lot more options. Photos, videos, text. It's really neat because, I'll get into it. So if you click on the little drop down at the top, right there, it shows you can choose Facebook and Instagram or one or the other. So it gives you the option of doing both, which again, if you're a company, you have limited time, limited availability, this is where you want to go. I can post both Facebook and Instagram at the same time, same message, same photo or whatever, and I'm done. So I did this, I think yesterday. So I scheduled it. I just kind of got it all queued up. I grabbed a really cool picture that the SBDC made. And I did a little post, joining our president, co-founder Travis Ford, blah, 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 blah. I only did this on Facebook. And you use a little button that says add photos, where that's pointing. I know it's kind of hard to read on the screen here, but it says add photo. So you add a photo, you just grab it out of the library, toss it in there. Then towards the bottom, gives you the option to schedule your post. The reason I love this for small, medium-sized businesses, you could be sitting on your couch Sunday afternoon, watching a game, drinking a beer, hopefully just your first beer. You don't want to go posting social media after like your sixth beer. You can just be kicking back on the weekend and schedule all your posts for the week. If you want to do 1 post a week, 2 posts a week, you're just chilling. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to schedule it, and I don't have to worry about it during the week. I can brew my coffee. I can make my sandwiches. I can do all those things then and not stress about it, but it's done. So I scheduled it February 14th, 9:25 p.m. It's not when I scheduled it for, but that was where it defaulted.
And who's gonna see this? Your friends, which group of people is gonna see this?
So as a business, anybody who's liked my page is going to see it.
When you're just starting out, or you don't have any likes, you're just starting out.
Yeah, well, then you'll see it. I mean, really, you got to start somewhere, right? So just start getting it out there. And then the more time, really, a really good reason why to start, even when you have nobody following you, is let's say a month from now, people really start following you. One of the first things they might do is jump on your page and look back.
Okay.
Like, hey, what's this guy been up to? Or what have they been doing? They don't want to see like they've got 2 posts. They want to see like, oh, here's all this content where they've introduced the office dog, or they've done all these things in the past. When you go on at the bottom, I'll go back. On the bottom where it says schedule, there's a little button that says active time. And if you click on it, there's this really cool thing that pops up now. And it shows this recommendations are based on followers who were most active on Facebook in the last 7 days. It's going to recommend a day and a time. And it actually looks at all the people who are following your page. And it says, okay, when were they most active on social media over the last 7 days? So, and like this one says, okay, you want to post that tomorrow at 6 p.m. or Thursday at 5 a.m. or Saturday at 6 a.m. because that's when your actual followers were most engaging on social media. Pick one. If you don't, if you're like, nah, I really want to do it tomorrow at 6 a.m., then do it at 6 a.m. tomorrow. Like, you know your business best, but these are just some recommendations on times. And then after you post it, it'll close, it'll open up the screen right here, and you can see on the little calendar. When I did this on Tuesday, my wife was working. I didn't spend Valentine's Day doing this, I promise. A little calendar thing will pop up and it'll show you, oh, look, 7 a.m. Wednesday the 15th, there it is, it's scheduled. And there's a little Facebook icon. If I had done both, there'd be a little Instagram icon as well. So that way you know it's done. And this is a really nice, another thing that Business Suite, Meta Business Manager does is they give you kind of a calendar view of anything that you've scheduled, which is really nice. And even recommendations. Shoot, I want to go back. Go back. Can I do it? All right. There you go.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So my knowledge of, since I barely post, my knowledge of this software is I have a business page, but it's attached when I log into Facebook.
Yeah.
Personal.
Yeah.
And that's how I've done it. I didn't, so you can schedule this way, you can't the other way.
You can schedule the other way.
Oh, you can?
And that's how I started it. I went to my page and I clicked on the make a post. And at the bottom of my where I would post, it says try it on Meta Business Suite. So I clicked Meta Business Suite to open up this next level of it. Yeah. So what I was going to show you on the right side of this image, you can see moments like upcoming ideas. So it's going to say, hey, President's Day is coming up. There's a holiday coming up. It'll give you some like, yeah, here's some concepts. If you want to, you can just grab it and use it, or if you want to tweak it for your own personal stuff. But here's some ideas on upcoming things to post about. So I want to show you that. Still my animation is that. With Facebook Insights, you can break down your page's performance. I'm going to kind of go through these pretty quickly because I got about 4 minutes. So Facebook Meta Business Suite Insights has a really great tool to give you sort of a look back on how well your posts have been performing and sort of where things have been going. So, you can see I had 2 actions on my page, 332 page views during the span of time. In the very top is this page summary, last 7 days. You can change that to 30 days, 90 days. You can kind of look back. Post engagements, reach. So these are always getting, there's like little green arrows up, up, up. So these are good metrics for you. I'm doing something right. Like it's, more people are engaging with my business, more people are, I'm reaching more people. If you see that they're all a bunch of red down arrows, maybe look back and go, okay, what am I doing? Can I tweak a few things? Can I change some of the language? Maybe add some more pictures of the cat. I don't know. It's kind of mess with it a little bit, but there's good metrics to kind of play with.
Demo.
Yeah, this is a really great page. It looks slightly different. They just changed it. But essentially, these are the people who like your page. So it'll show you people who like your page, people who engage with your page. And then I think there's one more, people who comment or share. I'm not quite sure, but there's different options. The engage with your page is a really good one. So this just shows, okay, this page is very popular with women 45 to 54. The big one on the top. The bottom are men, the top is women. This page engages more heavily with women, and specifically 45 to 54 is great. So if I'm going to do an ad campaign, I'll probably do 35 to 64. So I can grab that chunk of people, because those are the people that engage with me the most. This is their biggest in the United States. Morro Bay is fantastic. Bakersfield's a close second. I think this is a tourism page. San Luis Obispo, Paso, and Fresno. And then language, English, which is great. Language, I don't worry about language. If you do work in a multicultural or multi-language sort of a platform, Facebook translates, Instagram translates. So unless you specifically want to speak to another language and you want to write it that way, you can. But there's translating abilities that are built into the platforms. So don't stress about that. Trolls. Ooh. All right. So a person who sows discord on the internet by starting arguments or upsetting people by posting specifically inflammatory, extraneous, off-topic messages with the deliberate intent of provoking readers. This is out of the dictionary, which means there's enough of them that have their own definition, right. And we all have them in our town, right? You probably just thought of one right now, just talking about it. They may not be trolling you, but they're out there. So just if you get a complaint, if you get somebody who's really going down that road, obviously you want to step in, you want to have the nice conversation and talk to them in a nice way. But if they start spiraling, you can only go so far, right? Do the proper thing. And if they're going to go down that road, there was an Italian restaurant we used to work with, and this guy was on there just complaining about this menu item that they didn't carry, but the Italian restaurant up the street, who has since closed, carried it. Clearly they had the wrong place. This guy would not, he was just going on and on and on and on, clearly trying to get a free meal, just doing all the things. Finally, we're just like, okay, just have fun in your little echo chamber of angry and let's move on. So ignore the crazies.
But you just leave it posted then.
Say again?
So that stays as a post. I mean, so that's part of the permanent conversation.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah. So, and you do have the ability. I don't recommend ever deleting anything. Obviously certain industries you can delete, but I recommend not deleting anything. You can hide things if it's bad, if the conversation goes astray. And hiding is a really good option because they still see it. Their personal followers still see it, but it's not really public eye. But that's really more, you want to be super careful and selective on those. Those are especially reserved for the trolls of the world who go a little bit too far, a little bit too often. So I don't recommend that too often. And I don't know what happened, but I totally lost my all my background stuff. Final questions? Dang, 10:30, like all the time.
I have like a quick one.
Yeah, of course.
Because So Local is next door.
Yeah. So I deleted my Nextdoor account. I have a really, really hard time with Nextdoor because in Morro Bay, for example, and it probably maybe it's the same with either. It's just it's toxic. It's toxic, and I've found that a lot of it's really a lot of the same people. Just kind of, I call it an echo chamber. They're sort of doing their own thing in their own little space. If you want to engage, but there are some huge benefits of Nextdoor. I've seen people talking about where do I find a great handyman, or, I need a dog sitter. So it does exist. Just in my area, it's not enough to ignore all the bad stuff.
Keyboard warriors,
Yeah.
Passive aggressive.
Yeah, but my wife's in politics, so she deals with a whole nother thing. So Nextdoor, I personally stay away from it. I nuked my account. I tell all my friends to get off of it because it's just too toxic. As a business, I have a business listing that I claimed, and I have it there. And if somebody leaves a review, I get a note, I get a little email saying, hey, somebody left a review, or somebody commented on your business, which is important. Again, you don't want people having that conversation without you knowing it's happening. You want to be able to pay attention. But yeah, I mean, so the main platforms, as a business, obviously you need to have your Google listing. You need to have your Yelp listing. Apple is rolling out their own version. They used to pull from Yelp. They're in the process of rolling it out. It's as a business, just kind of keep your eye out for it. Currently, they're still pulling over from Yelp. Nextdoor, Facebook, those are two important ones to just claim it so that you have it, and that way, if somebody does leave a review, you can see it. And that's it. That's me.
This was very good. Thank you.
Good. I hope it was helpful for everybody.